ጤና ይስጥልን የተከበራችሁ አድማጭ ተመልካቾቻችን ይህ አዲስ ቅኝት የሚዲያ አገልግሎት ነው።
I want to ask you what is this all about? First, you were a minister in Canada and working on multiculturalism.
Right.
So, what's the importance of multiculturalism in our context, in our age?
Hi everyone. Today we have a special program about multiculturalism. Recently, a delegation of United Communities of Canada, an organization which promotes multiculturalism and helping ethnic communities and ethnic media in Canada, went to Kazakhstan.
Canada. And hopefully, on behalf of all the different multicultural communities, and we say, let us work together to become stronger nations within the United Nations. And now, we're going to show Canadians, and we want Canadians to know all about Kazakhstan, not only how ahead it is of many other countries, not only in the region, but countries in the world, but of interest to many areas, of the beauty of the mountains, of nature, of the future city, and of different items that are really of interest.
Canada and Kazakhstan established diplomatic relations since 1992. In this historic visit, something happened. A contest entitled Kazakhstan Through the Eyes of Canadians, in which our media, New Perspective, አዲስቅኝት is a part of and received a certification of excellence. On the receiving of a certificate and recognition, we had a brief conversation with Tony Ruprecht, the former Minister of Multiculturalism, about the importance of multiculturalism in our age and more. Stay tuned.
Mr. Tony Ruprecht, you were a minister and you were actively working about communities and about diversity and multiculturalism for over...
Well, I've been elected over 35 years.
35 years.
That's a long time, right?
It's a very long time. But what's your take about the importance of multiculturalism this time, especially this time?
There are a few countries in the world which have recognized the importance of multiculturalism, and Canada is one of them, one of the main ones actually. And so we have multiculturalism in our constitution. In fact, it's in the preamble of the Constitution. So multiculturalism means how do we essentially get all together without prejudice and discrimination? That's the essence of it. That's the essence of multiculturalism. How do I treat you as a human being? How do you treat me as a person with respect? So that's the idea, that there should be no discrimination, that we all should be treated equally before the law. And we've achieved that, basically. Before the law, on the whole, I mean, nothing is perfect, don't get me wrong, but comparing Canada to other countries, we've achieved a great deal in terms of equality, treatment before the law, in terms of education and our social systems. So we've done pretty well. Do we need to improve? Yes. You can see what happened to the native communities. There's always...
Today is, as you know, it's a national day of truth and reconciliation, and it becomes a national holiday.
Yes.
And a lot of things happened about native people in Canada. And talking about multiculturalism, with all these unresolved problems from our past, is it realistic? Is it what's your...
Well, the take on this is you have to ask yourself one question, and you've already asked it actually. But the question really can be put in a nutshell, and that is, you ask yourself, what country would admit to having committed some crime and some criminal elements that are within the government? What country? Has anybody admitted that really the policies of our country have led people to die? And now we're giving our Prime Minister, for instance, Justin Trudeau, is giving millions of dollars to the communities to dig up the graves and to find in real life, in real time.
The Germans
to
did.
fight. What's that?
The Germans did after Second World War.
Well, yeah, but the Germans lost the war, so they were sort of a bit forced into it. And but the Canadians, we did not lose the war. Do you know what I mean? We did it as an example of multiculturalism, in a way, saying, look, we've done wrong without having lost the war and without being really pushed into it. The government has agreed to say that. So now, the essence then is very important, and that is, it goes beyond one community. It goes to the whole world, and that is, how do we as human beings live together? Isn't that the real question? How can we live together?
That's the real question.
We now have the capability to destroy each other, to destroy it through various means, not just through nuclear means. We have the ability to destroy people through finance. We have the ability to destroy people not just by the push of a button. Some madman is going to do that, as I said in my presentation. But we have the ability to destroy each other through economic means. Imagine that, cutting people off from any food. We can do that with almost any country, right?
It's happening now, still. The poverty.
There you are.
And the marginalized people in Canada.
I think you're probably right to say it's all the same thing. How do you treat each other with respect, and how do we live and let live? That's the whole idea of it, right? But now, so the question then should be, what institutions do we build? Do we build institutions that will say, hold it, don't do that? And yes, we've built that institution through multiculturalism in a way. We've said, look, we have to treat people with respect. Now, there's just one very important item to remember, and that is, how do we get, now that we're in the 21st century, how do we get to the point where we can trade with each other without fighting with each other? That's the point. How do we trade with each other without fighting, saying, what's our differences? Well, you're this person, and you're a Muslim, and you're a Hindu, and you're a Christian, and you're a Jew. Do you get the idea? So there is enough there to say, well, let's concentrate on differences. Or we can say, let's concentrate on what we have in common as human beings.
That brings us to the United
Nations. Yes, but is that easy?
It's not easy. It's not
there you are.
So what's the Kazakhstan model in this in all this story? That you are involved in.
Yes. Yeah. So I've said in my presentation that there are really two countries which have caught on to it. And I term that to be a social skill for the 21st century. It is a social skill. First, to get together with each other in the country. You've referred to it. What do we do in the country? Well, that's the social skill. How do we get together, and how do we live with each other internally without strife and having to kill each other? That's the worst case, right? But with discrimination and hate. How do we do that? And then the second question is, once we understand that there are institutions and there are models for trying to get along with each other with respect and tolerance, once we understand that, then the next question should be, how do we apply that model to the international community? And that's where I said the social skill comes in. Without that social skill that we Canadians have, and without the skill that Kazakhstan is developing, without their model now, right? I said these are the two countries that are ahead of almost everybody. Without developing that, we cannot have international peace. And my big fear, and I'm just really, really sad about this, and it should be your big fear, it should be everybody's big fear, that we will destroy civilization, that we will destroy each other in the end, because how many countries do have nuclear weapons now? Well, at least 7 that we know of.
And there's
this many could be. Oh, I see what you mean. I do not ask you from a policy perspective, no. But I'm simply saying let's just say there's 7 countries. Well, how many more countries will there be that are developing it right now as we speak? How many more? Well, there's 3, 4, 5, 6, and no one wants to. Nobody really, and this is where Kazakhstan deserves a lot of credit, and that is
they stopped their nuclear.
They did.
Processing.
They stopped the stockpiling. Number one, they said no, we don't want nothing to do with it. And what's even more important is called the Nuclear Test Ban Treaty. The Nuclear Test Ban Treaty is a treaty under the umbrella of non-proliferation. And so if we proliferate and have more countries have it, look, sooner or later, some person is going to say, let's push the button. Maybe not the button at the beginning, where we destroy ourselves right away, because we can destroy ourselves now 5, 6, 7, 8, 12 times over. I thought it was 5 times. It is not 5 times. We can destroy civilization 12 times over with this nuclear war. 12 times. So there'll be such a nuclear winter that we cannot sustain life on this planet. So now, what are we doing to stop this? People don't realize it. They go about their life on a daily basis. Yes or no? Oh, look, I got a problem. I got to pay my mortgage, and my kids got to go to school, and all the problems that come with everyday living. And yet, very few are aware that you're living at the end of the precipice. In other words, you're living at the end of the cliff. Anytime you can take one step and you're down, you're gone. Imagine that when you think about it. How can you sleep at nights? Because you know there's some people who are destructive in nature. They're playing around with ideas about, well, I can push a nuclear button, but maybe it's just one little bomb. Like in Hiroshima as an example. That's one bomb. Yeah, and then the other person said, well, you got one bomb, I got a bomb too. And then we go. So it's the nuclear deterrent in the past, in the Cold War, has been on the balance of terror. Balance of terror. You do this to me, I do this to you, right? But the balance of terror cannot be sustained over a long period of time. See, 20 years is not a long time in the history of mankind. I mean, Ethiopians have been around for thousands of years as an example. So 20 years is like a blinking of an eye. And here we are in a historic moment of civilization. Historic moment. That at any time we can all go kaput. Now kaput means that we all go for destruction. So, what's the solution to all of this? There's one solution that we must all embrace, and that solution is we have to be tolerant of each other, and we have to figure out one way that we can treat each other with respect, and that's one way that Kazakhstan has accomplished. And that's why we are suggesting to follow that model, because it is a model, it's an interfaith model, it's an intercivilizational model where the conflict can be reduced, the conflicts can be mitigated, the conflicts can be lessened, so that we take that nuclear stuff out and we go lower, 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 more into the ground and simply say, how do we handle our differences? And that's not easy, but Kazakhstan has showed us it's a good start. And that's why, and that'll be my presentation today actually, that's why we should start like the model United Nations. There's a model United Nations in the universities. Every city has one. So why not start a model like Kazakhstan, the Kazakhstan model for international stability and international peace? Isn't that what we should be doing now? And that's what we're suggesting. We're going to establish a Nazarbayev, that's the first president of Kazakhstan, right? A dialogue center where we can discuss our differences, whether they're religious, ethnic, or racial. And we can come up and say, yes, we have accomplished something where we can treat each other with tolerance and respect. That's why we say, follow the Kazakhstan model.
That's interesting. But one last thing, do you expect commitment in this regard from other leaders from the world?
Well, this is a question that we can go on, but let me simply do it in such a way that it's quick, and that is, as it stands right now, there are a number of countries who have nuclear power. I think, well, let's say there's 7. It could be 8 or 9 or 10. But let's say there's 7 officially. And they have said, 5 of the 7 have said, we're willing to sign the nuclear test ban treaty. No more testing for nuclear weapons. It's insane. It's destroying the planet anyway. And secondly, we also signed nuclear non-proliferation. 2 countries will not, because, well, we know but there's a problem between Pakistan and India, as an example. How are we going to get them to sign? But if we put enough pressure on people of that caliber, they're intelligent people too, and they know the outcome, then I think if we will have a chance. Pray to God that this will take place.
Thank you very much, Tony, for
You're welcome.